Chapter 16. Vrithas and Moksha. Vows and Salvation. Dis Swamiji. It is said and seen in sastras that one will attain salvation only if we go to temples and perform pujas and observe other religious ceremonies. Pray, tell me the truth about this also. What are these religious ceremonies? Dis they are fasts like Ekadasi, Sivaratri, Pradosha and visits to temples and worshipping there. If the observance of the fast is enough for mukti, salvation, then any one of these fasts will do. Let it be, but how do you observe these fasts? Ekadasi fast is observed in the following manner: get up early morning, take bath, put on the caste mark, repeat Vishnu mantra, go and worship in Vishnu temples, read books like Ekadasi Mahatmyam. On this day ordinary diet like rice and pulses should not be taken, but one can take coconut water and fruits. Then somebody will sleep and somebody will not in the night time. Pradhosha Vritham is ISO observed by getting up early in the morning and taking bath and besmearing oneself with sacred ash and wearing Rudraksh beads and reciting hymns on Shiva and completely abstaining from eating anything the whole day and taking bath once again in the evening and going to Shiva temple to give offerings and partake of the remnants. Sivaratri comes only once in a year. On that day also one should get up early in the morning, take bath and besmear himself with the ash. One should not take any food during daytime. He should perform pujas and other ceremonies in Shiva temples and eat the remnants of the offerings. One should keep awake the whole night by reading books like Siva Purana. On these days do people perform any other things than these? Yes. They do all other daily routine of business also. They think if only they make a variation in the matter of food by avoiding rice and taking instead other sumptuous preparations, they will go to heaven. If you would get into heaven by making a variation in the matter of diet and eat only such kinds of food that are not in daily use like wheat etc., all those who are habitual eaters of wheat and do not eat the food that we eat should certainly go to heaven. It is a pity that people instead of knowing the truth and gaining salvation blindly follow certain customs and ceremonies and ruin themselves. The real significance of Ekadasi fast is this. The meaning of Ekadasi fast is this. The meaning of Ekadasi is to concentrate the energy that flows out through the 10 indriyas and make the same flow inward in one single stream. Ekam means 1, dasa means 10. Ekadasi means making 10 into 1. In other words, it means concentrating the flow and manifestation of energy through the 10 indriyas into one single inward stream. This concentration is attained by detaching the mind from the 5 external senses like sight, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching, and from the 5 internal senses like vak, pani, padam, payu and yapastham, and keeping the same under control. This is the Ekadasi fast. The 5 internal senses as above mentioned are the fountainhead of the energy that gets expressed and manifested through the 5 external senses. This knowledge that comes through these 5 external senses is really from the energy of life that springs through the 5 internal senses. The 5 external senses function in seeing, hearing etc., and the limbs of the body, such as hands and legs, make movements only because we are in a state of swapna, dream, instead of being in a state of perfect sleep. When we get over these busy dreams and arrive in a state of perfect sleep, which is the perfect state, the 10 senses as above mentioned cease to function. These 10 senses are not responsible for leading to true knowledge. The mind only is responsible. Ekadasi fast is the focusing of all the vibrations of Vayu or the energy of life, at the Brahmarandhra where from the mind originates. In this fast the mind remains in its original pristine states. Teacher. These 5 organs are known as Jnanendriyas, the 5 organs of knowledge, and vak, word, pani, hand, padam, leg, payu, anus, and yapastam, female reproductive organ, are called karmendriyas, the 5 organs of action. Now what Swamiji says seems to be quite contradictory. What is the reason for calling skin, eyes, nose, ears and mouth the Jnanendriya and the others karmendriya? Skin, mouth, eye, nose and ear are used for acquiring knowledge by touch, taste, sight, smell and hearing, respectively, and these are called Jnanendriyas. But, Vak, Pani, Padam, Payu, Upastam, being used for actions are called Karmendriyas. What do you mean by karma? I have now understood that karma means a thing and that is vayu and that it is not action as understood by the common people. There can be no knowledge through skin, mouth, eye, nose and ear themselves. They are not responsible for knowledge. They are the doors and windows of this body which is the house. The nose and mouth are the doors and the eyes and ears are the windows for the karma, the life force or the Vishnu, the mind, to move in and out. Therefore they have no knowledge or responsibility. Besides, what do you mean by Vak, Pani, Padam, Payu and Upastam? They are tongue, hands, legs, anus and the reproductive organ of the female respectively. All these are wrong. These are all the tools for work and the places of the work. All living beings have these Navadwaras and Panchendriyas. If it has been as you said, these are not seen for men and women. I have already explained what is meant by Navadwara. It was said that linga is not the outlet for urine, but it is the linga of the ISWARA and not included in the Navadwara. Also both men and women have that lingam. Among Vak, Pani, Padam, Payu and Upastam, you say that Payu is Gudam and Upastam is the urethra of woman. As it is seen so, it is to the Gudam, belonging to the Navadwara, that it is said as Payu which belongs Karmendriya. Considering thus, by any way it would not take place. That is, when there are two different names there must be two different objects. Since the function of Gudam is different and that of Payu is also different. Since there are two different functions for both, there must be two different objects also for both. But we do not even see Payu. Since Upastam is the urethra of women, that also we do not have. So, among Panchendriyam we do not see Payu and we do not have Upastam. Can it happen so? But the people in the world do not know what the Panchendriyam are. They are not what you have told. They are like this. It has been said in the world that Gudam, Upastam and Lingam are Gopaniyam, that is, those which are in secret. It is said that they are, what it is said in the world as urethra of men, being the male symbol is Lingam, the urethra of women, the female symbol is Upastam and the anus, the place for doing excretion for all the living beings in this world, is Gudam. These are all very wrong. Because, these are all not in secret, they are all being seen in the outside quite openly. They are said to be secret, because they are hidden by clothes. They are not secret since they are hidden. It is because, when we are born they are not hidden. Then these were in the outside itself, quite openly. It is after 4 or 5 years old, that they are hidden by cloths etc. So, the aforesaid are not what it has been said now. Hence the aforesaid are secret even while we were born. I shall tell them in detail. Vaka means sound. Pani means the four hands of Vishnu, the mind. Samk, Chakram, Gada and Padmam are taken in these hands. What is the use of Samk among them? To make sound. What is the use of the Chakram? To annihilate the enemies. What is the use of the Gada? Also to annihilate the enemies. What about the Padma? It is for decoration. But these are not the actual purposes. To hear sound and make it we have the ear. This is one hand of Vishnu, the Paramatma, the mind. Chakram is that which rotates. That is our eye and that is the mind. As this mind rotates, we see objects in various ways. Gada means that which vibrates and that is the Vayu, the life energy. That which is useful for the movement of the Vayu is the nose and that is the other hand of Paramatma, the Vishnu. When the life energy comes out, the Ahankara, the lotus originates. When Akshara the self becomes Akasa, ether, it becomes the Hridaya Kamala, the lotus of the heart. That is through the mouth. That is another hand of Paramatma, the Vishnu. Pani means the transformation of Paramatma into Manasakti, the mental energy. This is the fourth hand, and thus Paramatma, the mind, manifests outside. Padam means swasthana, one's own place. Payam means the origin of the spring. Upastam literally means that which is close to. It means that which is close to the linga. That linga is called ISWARA linga. That remains in our Brahmadya. That linga is in the Upasta. That is why it is called Upastam. Upastam means yoni, the place of origin. That origin is not from the urinal outlet of female. It is an outlet for the child to come out from the womb. For the child to be in the womb, there must be sukla and sranatha, which secretes from the cohabitation of male and female. This sukla is the Brahma. This sukla, which is the form of Brahma, enters the womb by cohabitation and comes out in the form of baby. For example, have you gone to any Shiva temple? Dis, yes. T, what is there in the temple? Dis, there is Shiva linga. T, where is it exactly situated? Dis, in the temple there is a raised platform in which there is a pit in the form of yoni, female organ, where the linga is installed. T, then, where does the linga remain? Dis, in the yoni. T, so, lingam is called upastam because it remains in the yoni. Whatever is poured by way of abhisheka over the linga, the liquid portion of which comes out just like a stream, and this part is called payu, and the two places from where it goes out from payu is called the gudam. The place guda where this is situated is called padam. Therefore, vak, pani, padam, payu, and upastam are these things. These are the Gnanenendriyams. That is, from padam, the place of origin, Vishnu, the Paramatma or the mental force, comes out with four hands, gradually being dripped at the place known as payu and then rushing out through guda. When this mental force is reserved and taken back to the place of origin beyond the guda, we get enlightenment. When we do not allow the mental force to flow out through these four hands, it results in enlightenment. That is why it is called Jnanendriya. As you say, tongue, hand, leg, gudam, and the urinal outlet are not the Jnanendriya or Karmendriya. These are the tools of work or the place of work. Such a mind which has the inward flow gets at its place of origin. This mind is Vishnu. This Vishnu is in the state of Ananda Sayana. The meaning Ananda Sayana is, being in a state which is above all conceptions of time like beginning and end, and space like inside and outside. This state is the merging of the mind with the self, in perfect harmony, free from all vibrations. This is the reason for saying that if you observe Ekadasi fast you will reach God Vishnu. It is said that Pradosha falls on the Trayodasi day, the 13th day of either the waning period or waxing period of the moon. The word Trayodasi means and implies as follows: Traya means 3, Dasa means 10. Trayodasi means and implies metaphysically the unification of the flow of energy through the 10 indriya, in sattva, rajas, and tamas, qualities, and concentrating the same, with Jiva or the Shiva that is inside. The significance of the Shiva Rathri is also the unification and concentration of the expressions of energy in Maya in the form of the three qualities as above said into one single stream, and merging the same with Shiva, the living essence. This is the truth and significance of these facts and observances. It is incorrect and absurd to say that there is only one Sivaratri, Shiva's night, in a year of 365 days. If one night can only be Shiva's night, then the rest of the time must be day. This cannot be. The days and nights are equal in number. It cannot be that Shiva, after spending 364 days, inclusive of the night time, enters on his night on the 365th day. People speak of Ekadasi, Pradosha, Sivaratri, and so many other things without thinking out what these things really signify or knowing the real meaning of what they have read out in the sastras. All religious observances and practices in the whole world, why, the world itself, and all the activities therein have originated, consequent on the externalization of our mental energy. So, it is desirable to control our mental energy in us and prevent its waste and attain self-realization. This is salvation. If, according to popular conception, people consider Ekadasi and other fasts, only to be a change in the ordinary routine and eat all sorts of things and waste their energy in other ways, they stand only to lose and suffer much. If this is the truth about fasts and other observances, what about the upavasa, devotion, in temples? You speak of temples and upavasa, but what are these temples and what are these upavasas? There are many temples. What are they? Shiva temples, Vishnu temples, Ganapati temples, Subramanya temples, Ayyappan temples, Bhagavathi temples, and so on. The upavasa consists of observing fasts as above mentioned and making offerings and other prayers. You spoke of many temples. What are there in these temples? There are the prathishtas, installations of godheads, there. What did you say are installed there? People make images, and install them there as gods. With what are these images made? Metals, stones, and other materials. But what are among the metals and stones specially selected for these images? Gold, silver, copper, bronze, stone and black marble, granite, etc. Some make images out of wood also. Who are the persons that make these gods out of metals, stones and wood? Goldsmiths, blacksmiths, carpenters, and other artisans. So who was the first to exist, your gods or those who made these gods? God was the first cause. If God was the first cause, how did these artisans dare to make him? Not only that. If these people do not exist, it looks as if there cannot be any worship of God. It looks as if these people who made these gods are the first to exist. Do they of their own accord manufacture and prepare these gods for our worship, or do they do this at the behest of others? They do not make these gods of their own accord. It is certain religious-minded men who get these gods prepared by the artists and who get them installed in temples with the aid of Brahmins. So it seems that before God came into existence these artists or Brahmins were in existence. You said that Brahmins install these gods in temples. How do they do this? They prepare a paste made out of ashtagantham, 8 different smelling materials, and fix the image with the aid of this paste in the sanctum sanctorum of the temple and perform prana prathishta, infusing prana in them, along with the performance of other ceremonies. Does the image know anything about these pujas and other performances? That it does is my belief. Have you up till now heard, seen or otherwise come to know that any of these images have partaken of the offerings given to them? I have not heard or seen or come to know of this till now. Can these things speak? No. They cannot speak. If a piece of wood is God, then this wooden pillar that we see, and the wooden mortar and pestle, that people use to pound rice are also gods. You must worship them also. The same materials go to form the god as well as the mortar and pestle. So they also should be worshipped. It is one and the same artisan or artist that makes both these things. But why is it that you do not worship these mortar and pestle? These things are not made after any form. So this form of God was given to these images by the artisans or artists, and so is it not these people that deserve our worship? The artisan only made the above-mentioned forms. But these forms got sakti, energy, only after the necessary prana prathishta, infusing prana or life, and other ceremonies. Who does all these? The Brahmins. Then it is enough for us to worship these Brahmins. Why should we worship those images made of wood, stone or any other metal? Swamiji. Do you mean to say that these idols have no energy in them whatsoever? No. Prana prathishta means infusing, fixing and confirming prana, life. Prana is a thing which is in us. If such a prana could be imparted to these idols and the same fixed there, then the donor of this prana is dead. This is the real test of imparting prana to these idols. Have you ever heard that any body has so died after performing prana prathishta? I have not come to know of it, nor even heard of it. Not only that. If really there is a person who could impart his energy to an idol, then this man can do much more than this for the welfare of humanity. Many persons die in this world. Death is an event when prana, life, becomes extinct. In such cases of death, when prana goes out, this person would do well to infuse some of his prana into the dead bodies and revive all those who have died. Let this be as it is. But if you go to a temple where there is a pranaprathishta, what is the thought that is uppermost in you? I think that the deity is there. How do you offer your prayers to the deity and what are your meditations? I join both my hands before my chest and pray, "Oh, my God, save me," etc. What you do must be wrong. When you entered the temple, your conviction was that the image installed there is the God. It is because of this conviction that you went there. Such being the case, you ought not to have joined your hands before your chest and prayed, "Oh my God, save me," and so on. You ought to have placed your hands on the image and cried, "Oh, Temple God, save me," and so on. But you do not say like this. The reason is this. The God is in you. If there is no God in you, there is no God elsewhere. All that you see outside is formed out of the energy that flows out from you. There is no sakti or power whatsoever in the images. If, as you say, there is prana prathishta in temples, the images must, without any external help, stand firm with the aid of the energy supposed to have been imparted into them. What you do is to fix the images with cement or with the ashtagantha paste. Now look at this door. Who made this? The carpenter. Who fixed it there? The mason or the bricklayer. How is it fixed there? With the help of bricks, lime and sand. Just as the door made by the carpenter is fixed by a mason with the help of lime and sand, the images made by the artists are fixed by a person who knows how to fix them with cement or ashtagantha. We go and worship these images, thinking that God resides there. It is something like this. One takes some payasam, a kind of pudding, in the hollow of his hand. He notices some juice oozing down the elbow through the space in between the fingers. He covets this oozing juice and attempts to lick it up. While so doing, his palm is turned upside down and all the payasam is spilled on the ground. There is no more of this oozing juice for him to lick, for the payasam itself is no more there. He did not take care of the payasam in his hand, but was concerned only with the oozing juice, with the result, he lost all the payasam without knowing its real taste. If he had taken in the payasam straight away, the juice would not have oozed out, nor the payasam been lost. In the same manner, we are not mindful of the God within us, but go after these images considering them to be gods. This is a grave mistake. When the hand was full of payasam, the juice was oozing out through the 5 fingers. Just like this, when the God is full in us, his energy flows out through the 5 senses. The concentration of this outgoing energy at its source, the heart, otherwise called as the Brahmadya, within us, is the real pranaprathishta. This is also what is known as pancha prana prathishta, installation of 5 pranas. The kshetra, the real temple, is the place where there is this real pranaprathishta. This kshetra is our gathra, body. This has got 9 doors. People do not care to know the real state of affairs. They make all sorts of images with stones or metals or wood and fix them on the ground with cement or ashtagantha paste and foolishly call them prana prathishta. They do not know themselves, nor do they realize that they are only wasting away their energy on such absurdities. Except wasting energy like this, they never perform any real upasana in the temple. The meaning of this expression kshetra upasana is to take abode within the kshetra or temple. Kshetra is our body. Upasana or upavesam means to take abode. With whom? With ISWARA, God. This is the union of Jiva, life energy, with God at the sanctum sanctorum, the Brahmadya. This is the real upavesa in the temple or the real devotion. You said that the temple is our Gathra, body, and that this temple has got 9 doors. Pray tell me, what are these doors? These doors are what is known by expression Navidwaras, 9 entrances. These 9 entrances are distributed all over the body. So, is the whole of our body the temple? No, the whole of our body is not the temple. Only a portion of this body is the temple. All the entrances in the body are not included in the expression Navidwara. It is only the 9 openings of the temple proper that are included in the Navidwara. Swamiji. What is that part of the body which is called the temple proper? Only the head portion is the temple proper. It is like this. Look at that compound. There is a temple situated in the northern corner. The whole compound is not covered by the temple. In the same manner our jedam, body, is a compound and the top portion of it is the north. That which we see on the north of our body is the temple. That temple is the head. It is for this head there are the 9 openings. How is it possible to say that there are 9 openings in the head? What do you think the Navidwaras, 9 openings, are? The 9 openings are the 2 ears, the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, the urinary tract called lingam and the anus called gudam. You have stated that out of the Navidwaras, the linga is the urinary tract and gudam is the anus. But both these openings are situated in the lowest part of our body. The rest of the 7 openings are situated in the siris, head. It cannot be that out of the 9 openings 7 are located in the head and 2 in the lowest part of the body. Not only that, linga is a very sacred thing. You say it is the urinary canal. Lingam is the Shiva linga. It is not the urinary canal. All creatures have got the Navidwara irrespective of the sex difference. This lingam is installed in the temple. The temple is our head. This temple is the one that has 9 openings. Generally even the so-called temples have 4 main entrances called gopurams. Passing the gopuram you come to the inner square and then you get into the Namaskara Mantapam, worshipper's platform. From this worshipper's platform you can see the sanctum sanctorum. If you open the door of this sanctum sanctorum you can see the image of the deity, the so-called prathishta. In the same manner our nose, mouth, ears, and eyes are the 4 main entrance or gopuras for our temple. All these 4 openings lead on to the regions about the little tongue which is our Namaskara Mantapam. From about these regions there are 2 small tracts going up to the sanctum sanctorum in our cortex where the vital point or Sivalinga is situated. When the energy of life is made to trace upwards you can perceive this point. The double track leading to this point is called the gudam. It is through this gudam that vibrations of sound are transmitted. Even in the so-called temples you have got a bell at the Namaskara Mantapam which is sounded both when you go into the sanctum sanctorum and when you come out of it. Just like that, the gudam transmits sound either in the form of loud and free external notes or in the form of low suppressed internal notes. The word gudam itself means that which gives sound or word. The upper end of the nostrils and the lower opening of this gudam meet below the Brahmadya or point vitus. It is from this station that the ethereal sound is transmitted. The proof of this fact is this. Persons without nose cannot speak well. When the sound is produced it is transmitted on to the nostrils and if there is no nose the sound escapes. If there is no nose it prevents this escape and gathers and regulates the vibrations with the result that we can hear the sounds more distinctly. This mechanism is something like the gramophone with a horn. You wing the key and set the needle on the plate. You hear the sound. But it is not clear. The reason is this. There must be a horn. If you place that horn, the sound becomes very clear. When there was no horn the sound vibrations were not gathered. When the horn was fixed it gathered and regulated the sound which became so very clear and distinct that even a child can follow it. In the same manner the nose serves the purposes of a horn. So the 2 upper openings at the little tongue are called gudam. These 2 openings along with the 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears and 1 mouth make up the Navidwara, 9 openings. Thus our head is the temple with the 9 openings. The lingam is installed in this temple. It is from the base of this lingam or point vitus that sukla, the vital fluid, is secreted. This place is the Brahmadya. Sukla is secreted at the base, mula, of this lingam. Mula means base or root. If lingam is the urinary canal, the semen must be secreted at the root of the urinary canal. But semen is not secreted at the root of the urinary canal. You can find this out if you carefully observe where from you get the actual thrill during sexual cohabitation. It is from Brahmadya you get the thrill. This topic has been already dealt with in chapter 4. You have seen some picture representing the idol installed at Rameswaram. This picture is the representation of Sivalinga, held tight with both the arms by Parvati, to prevent its fall into Pathalam, hell. The idea behind this picture is correct. It is Kundalini Sakti, the coiled serpent energy, that prevents the deterioration and wastage of Shiva Linga in the form of sound vibrations. This Kundalini Sakti is Parvati. Besides this, at the base of the idol you find it written in Devanagari script, the letter Om. The idea behind this is also correct. Om is the Brahma. That is Sukla. This Sukla, which is of Brahmasvarupa, divine form, is secreted at the base of the Shiva Linga, encircled by Kundalini Sakti. This vital point is Brahmadya. This is our real temple and the Prathishta. Without knowing this truth, people erect various buildings in various places and installed idols there in gold, stone or wood, and thinking that the god resides in these idols spend all their lives and energy and go to ruin. They never get the benefit of their worship. If they want to get the real benefit of the temple worship, they must install their Jiva in their own temple. If anyone does so, he soars higher up and attains the supreme knowledge and self-realization or salvation. Besides, for what purpose do you worship God? Is it to be one with God or to be separated from Him? Dis, to be one with God. T, with the desire to be one with God, from where do you pay your respect after reaching the temple? Dis, I pay respect standing outside the Srikavil and the Garbhagriha, the central place of worship. T, so, can you enter the central place or the Garbhagriha? Dis, no. T, with what are the idols placed in it made? Dis, they are made of stone or wood. T, we are not allowed to touch the stone which was fashioned by a mason by placing his legs over it. This stone might have been originally lying in a footpath or used by many for stool side, but when it came to the temple we can neither enter the place where it is placed nor touch it. Dis, when we think of all these, it seems that we have become fools and we are being cheated. Swamiji, you said that all creatures have got lingams irrespective of sex difference. But in the case of ladies, people don't use the word lingam but they speak of upastam. What is the significance of this? All beings have got both lingam and upastam. You need not think that lingam is indicative of male organ and upastam is indicative of female organ. You were thinking that lingam was one of the openings of Navidwara. If that is so, even ladies should have it. You also admitted that upastam was one of those 5 inner senses vak, padam, pani, payu and upastam. In that case even males should have upastam. So both the lingam and upastam are common to both males and females. About lingam I have already told you the real truth. Upastam means that which is situated nearby. That is situated near the Sivalinga. It is called yoni. This yoni is the place of origination. This is also called Sakti yoni. This yoni is not the opening through which children are born. To be born like this, what is the precondition? Dis, there must be pregnancy. T, what is the cause for pregnancy? Dis, cohabitation. T, by mere cohabitation, will there be pregnancy? Dis, there must be semen also. T, that place which is the originating place of Sukla is called yoni. This is the meaning of the expression Sakti yoni. The world originates from this Sakti yoni. Sakti means female and therefore it is also called Striyoni. Jiva is considered as male. When this Jiva confines itself in its own puram, habitation, it becomes Purusha and the real significance of the linga in us becomes revealed. In fact, it is only then that we begin to know our linga. This is what is called Purusha linga. This is the truth about lingam and yoni. Without knowing all these, people consider in their ignorance the urinary canal of the males and females as lingam and yoni respectively and the anus as the gudam. The reason for such blind belief is, the experienced persons, the self-realized persons, have written down their experiences as sastras. One reads and learns such sastras and pretends to be as, I am the experienced, I know everything, without understanding the real meaning of sastras in the world. He understands them adversely and thus says and teaches people in the world. At that time the people consider that he is the person who has studied various sastras and hence what he says would be correct and thus they have become ignorant. It is because of such misunderstanding that people, not knowing the truth, worry much, sink and become adhagathi and due to the blind belief they get destroyed.